Canada's spy agency is warning that China's attempts to manipulate the media are becoming the new normal.
Mounting concerns in the U.S. and Canada, meanwhile, over Chinese police hubs and people allegedly spying for China.
The Chinese influence is everywhere in Canada. They manipulate the political process, acquire apartments extensively, and employ apps like TikTok to spread woke ideas and manipulate the minds of Canadians. Canada is weaker and more vulnerable than ever before. In today's video, we will talk about China's exploitation of Canada and how China might be pulling all the strings when it comes to Canadian politics, economics, and society. Canada and China started official relations in 1942, with Canada sending its own representative to China. Before that, a British ambassador represented Canada. The relationship faced a break in 1949 due to the communist victory in China, but resumed in 1970 when Canadian Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau recognized the People's Republic of China. For some years, China was a major trade partner for Canada in Asia, being both the top export market and import supplier in the region, but a trade imbalance emerged. In recent years, relations between the Canadian and Chinese governments have worsened, especially during the leadership of CCP General Secretary Xi Jinping and U.S. President Donald Trump. Tensions escalated in 2018 when Canada arrested Huawei executive Meng Wanzhou, leading to China detaining two Canadians, Michael Kovrig and Michael Spavor. This strained bilateral relations and shifted public opinion, with 52% of Canadians viewing China as their biggest foreign threat in a 2021 poll. Trade, once a strong point, faced challenges due to concerns about intellectual property theft and human rights abuses. Canada has criticized China on various fronts, including the oppression of Uyghurs, the crackdown on dissent in Hong Kong, alleged unfair trade practices, and espionage activities in Canada. In 2022, Canada referred to China as disruptive in its official Indo-Pacific strategy document. However, the Chinese have elevated their espionage and surveillance efforts to a new level, and their game is far from over. Exploiting Canada's focus on internal challenges such as a weak economy, a housing crisis, and immigration issues, China under President Xi is actively targeting Canada through spy networks. The issue has peaked, leading Canada to block Chinese government attempts to acquire properties near sensitive locations due to espionage concerns, as reported by the head of Canada's top intelligence agency. China faces accusations of operating over 100 overseas police stations, allegedly monitoring dissidents and its diaspora community while posing as service providers for tasks like driver's license renewals. Earlier this year, Canadian authorities issued a warning about a large-scale email campaign attempting to lure federal employees into an overseas talent program. The Canadian Security Intelligence Service cautioned that the People's Republic of China likely aims to acquire Canadian knowledge and expertise through this recruitment effort, which solicits significant personal information and promises salaries ranging from $95,000 to $374,000. Despite these warnings, Prime Minister Trudeau appears inactive. Recently released documents reveal that intelligence officials have been monitoring China's attempts to interfere in Canadian affairs for over 37 years. A February 1986 intelligence report highlighted Beijing's use of both open political tactics and secret operations to influence and exploit the Chinese diaspora in Canada, employing potentially more potent techniques to achieve these goals. However, many times Justin Trudeau asserts that investigations are ongoing, but critics argue that the Chinese, being savvy, exploit the perceived incompetence of Trudeau as a means to pursue foreign intervention. Reports from 2019 indicate alleged Chinese efforts to secretly fund a network of at least 11 federal candidates participating in the 2019 election, among other claims of election interference during that campaign. In January 2019, Canadian intelligence officials presented Trudeau and several cabinet ministers with briefings and memos detailing these allegations, providing examples of Beijing's attempts to extend its influence and undermine Canada's democratic process. These efforts supposedly included payments through intermediaries to candidates linked to the Chinese Communist Party and the placement of agents in MPs' offices to influence policy. Funds were reportedly transferred through an Ontario Ontario MPP and a federal election candidate staffer. According to separate sources, a proxy group affiliated with the CCP, acting as an intermediary, facilitated the transfer of around $250,000. Experts analyzing the situation pointed out that the alleged interference highlights weaknesses in Canada's outdated espionage and counterintelligence laws, which sophisticated networks from countries like China, Russia, and Iran exploit. In a recent instance, the 2022 intelligence report stated that China engages in more foreign interference than any other nation, and the threat of interference to Canada heightened in 2015 when Chinese President Xi Jinping expanded the influence of the CCP's United Front networks abroad. The activities of these Chinese spies pose ongoing threats to Canada's economic, social, and political well-being, and it remains uncertain how long Canadian authorities will endure these challenges. On the social front, China employs clever tactics utilizing spying activities through the popular app TikTok. Since its inception, TikTok has garnered over 2 billion downloads, surpassing the consumption time of even Instagram or YouTube in Canada, particularly among the country's youth. Described as a piece of malware by British author Douglas Murray, TikTok, a Chinese company, appears to distort the thinking of young Canadians and Western youth, who use it for entertainment, often indulging in self-absorbed content. Approximately 40% of individuals under 24 use TikTok as a means to seek information, allowing the CCP to influence and control the content they encounter. TikTok is influencing the youth in Canada by disseminating its propaganda, and it is having a notably undignified impact on the Canadian society, aligning with the intentions of the Chinese Communist Party. The primary focus of TikTok lies in constantly gathering diverse user data. TikTok's extensive data gathering mechanisms raise concerns about privacy infringement. The platform collects a vast amount of user data ranging from personal information to behavioral patterns. This includes details such as location, device information, contacts, and even facial recognition data from uploaded videos. The sheer magnitude of data amassed by TikTok poses a significant risk to Canadian users' privacy, as it provides a comprehensive profile of individuals that can be exploited or misused. By endorsing woke content, TikTok actively promotes its desired narrative in Canada. Much of the content on Canadian TikTok pushes environmental agendas and encourages young individuals to reconsider their gender identities. Users become deeply involved with the platform without realizing it because TikTok isn't merely a video sharing app. It operates as a tool for influencing minds. Once captivated, individuals become integral to its influence. In Canada, TikTok is seen as capable of transforming a nation into one with individuals embracing different gender identities, seeking attention excessively, and culturally disengaged. Within Canada, TikTok spares no effort to enhance the popularity of those in authority. While TikTok algorithms positively highlight NDP leader Jagmeet Singh's appearance, they simultaneously work to portray opposition leader Poilievre negatively. Videos on Canadian TikTok attempt to suggest that Poilievre supports racist policies, even though no such policies are explicitly mentioned in the videos. Alternatively, TikTok aims to label Poilievre's supporters as extreme right-wing kooks, incels, and fringe voters. Economically, the Chinese are strategically causing harm to Canadian society. Vancouver stands out as an attractive investment city for Chinese individuals, with 1/3 of all homes sold in 2015 being purchased by Chinese buyers. They invest in Canadian real estate as a means of safeguarding their funds from the Chinese government and potentially for espionage purposes. As Chinese investors acquire a substantial portion of Vancouver's real estate, local residents find themselves facing increased competition when attempting to purchase homes. This limits the housing options available for Canadians who genuinely intend to use these properties for personal residence. The competition between Chinese and Canadian buyers for the same properties contributes to the escalation of real estate prices. The demand created by both groups vying for limited housing in a popular city like Vancouver has the effect of driving up property values. This phenomenon, often referred to as housing market speculation, has created an enormous housing bubble that poses a huge risk to the stability of the real estate market and Canadian economy as a whole. The consequence is that housing becomes less accessible for ordinary Canadians, especially those looking to enter the market for the first time. Lastly, there is a possibility that the real estate market can be affected by political motivation, especially from powerful and authoritarian governments like the Chinese Communist Party. If the CCP mandates all Chinese investors to sell all their properties all at once, it would cause a sudden flood of properties into the market. This would in turn cause home prices to drop rapidly, leading to a housing market crash. Because Canada's economy is almost entirely dependent on real estate values increasing, this could cripple the Canadian economy for an extended period of time. Despite being Canada's second-largest trade partner, their actions also involve undermining Canada. Politically, they continue to disrupt the political landscape. China has previously attempted to manipulate Canadian elections, leading to an investigation by PM Trudeau, who appointed his close aide. However, when this close association was exposed, it created widespread concern. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre highlighted the long-standing connection between Trudeau's aide David Johnston and the Trudeau family, as well as Johnston's ties to the Beijing-linked Pierre Elliott Trudeau Foundation. This revelation prompted a significant response. David Johnston abruptly resigned, citing the highly partisan atmosphere surrounding his work as the independent special rapporteur on foreign interference. In his resignation letter to PM Trudeau, Johnston expressed his initial intention to build trust in democratic institutions, but acknowledged that political attacks had the opposite effect. He tendered his resignation effective no later than the end of June 2023, or upon delivering a final report, attributing the decision to the mounting political pressure. This political turmoil reflects a complex situation, partly influenced by Chinese strategies and exacerbated by Trudeau's perceived incompetence in addressing these issues. With leaders like Trudeau at the helm, expectations for substantial reforms in Canada's approach to countering Chinese espionage are unfortunately low. The current political landscape, characterized by controversies, close affiliations, and a perceived lack of decisive action, raises concerns about the nation's ability to effectively address the multifaceted challenges posed by Chinese espionage. However, in the face of these challenges, Canadian security agencies can take strategic steps to mitigate the impact of Chinese espionage on Canada's political, economic, and social spheres. Firstly, enhancing collaboration and coordination among Canadian security agencies is imperative. The fragmented nature of intelligence and security agencies often hinders seamless information sharing and collaborative efforts. Establishing clear communication channels and fostering a culture of collaboration would enable these agencies to pool their expertise and resources, creating a more formidable front against Chinese espionage activities. Secondly, investing in advanced technology and cybersecurity measures is crucial to safeguarding Canada's political and economic interests. The growing sophistication of cyber threats demands a proactive approach. Canadian security agencies should prioritize the development and implementation of cutting-edge technologies to detect and counter cyber threats effectively. Regular training programs can also ensure that personnel are well equipped to handle evolving cyber challenges. Additionally, bolstering legislative frameworks to address gaps in current espionage and counterintelligence laws is essential. Outdated laws present vulnerabilities that sophisticated espionage networks exploit. By updating legislation to align with contemporary threats, Canadian security agencies can operate within a legal framework that facilitates the identification and prosecution of those engaging in espionage activities. On the economic front, rigorous scrutiny of Chinese foreign investments is crucial. Establishing comprehensive mechanisms to assess the potential national security implications of foreign investments in critical sectors can prevent economic vulnerabilities. Implementing transparent and stringent review processes will ensure that economic activities remain resilient to espionage threats. Socially, countering Chinese influence requires a nuanced understanding of how these activities manifest, particularly through platforms like TikTok. Educating the public about the potential risks associated with foreign influence campaigns and implementing measures to enhance media literacy can empower Canadians to critically evaluate information sources, reducing susceptibility to manipulation. Overall, the Chinese are ahead in these spy games, and the Canadian authorities seem asleep. Time for action has arrived. Otherwise, the consequences of Chinese meddling could further cause irreversible loss to Canadian society. If you like this video and want to learn more about Canada, check out this video here. And if this video brought value to you, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing the video. Thanks for watching.